In May of 1969, a young man leaned against the rail of a pier in Long Island Sound, and his class ring slipped from his finger. Heavy with white gold, engraved with Fordham University's crest, it vanished into the water. He was 21, on the cusp of adulthood, and the loss must have felt irretrievable, one more small wound of youth. And yet he never replaced it. More than half a century later, in 2025, a hobbyist wading with a metal detector at Cedar Beach drew something glinting from the muck. To his surprise, it was a Fordham ring, still intact, its inscription legible. Alfred R. DiStefano, class of 1969. Within a week, the ring was back on the hand of its owner, now 77, retired in Texas, who marveled that it had survived in marvelous condition, as if untouched by time. At first glance, this event seems like an odd news curiosity, yet it holds a deeper charge. A ring lost to the sea, hidden in darkness, restored by chance and conscience. It reads like a parable, a tale in which time bends towards returning what seemed lost forever. Rings in myth are rarely inert. They confer power and belonging. Solomon's seal, Wagner's cursed circle, the One Ring of Tolkien, even the plain wedding band. To lose a ring is to lose part of oneself. To recover it is to be made whole. Jung might see here the archetype of the lost object, that fragment of the psyche long buried in the unconscious, waiting for retrieval. The sea often figures as such a storehouse, swallowing symbols and returning them transformed. That DiStefano's ring emerged after 56 years in marvelous condition is exactly how repressed or forgotten memories return, intact, though estranged by time. The sea kept it faithfully, biding its hour. It is tempting to think of Long Island Sound as a mere accident of geography, yet in this story it behaves like a mythic underworld, a place where objects vanish only to be restored when the moment is ripe. The ring went down in 1969 at the end of a turbulent decade of youth and upheaval, and rose again when its owner had lived through the arc of a long career, when perhaps he was ready to reconcile past and present. Memory often works this way. Proust's Madeleine reminds us that recollection is less a matter of effort than of encounter. The past returns when we stumble upon its token. The Fordham ring serves as just such a talisman. Its recovery shows that memory is not linear but cyclical, that what is lost waits in hidden chambers until the self is prepared to meet it again. Equally telling is the role of the finder. Dave Orlowski, metal detector in hand, played a role closer to myth than hobby. He was tempted to keep the ring for its gold, worth perhaps $2,000, but his wife urged him otherwise, reminding him of karma, of empathy for the stranger to whom the ring belonged. In that moment, the story shifted from greed to grace. Orlowski became a kind of Hermes, a psychopomp ferrying the lost token from darkness to recognition. Recognition, too, required a chorus. The inscription alone would not have sufficed. It was through a Fordham alumni group on Facebook that strangers identified the name and traced it back to DiStefano. In Greek drama, the chorus provides recognition and resolution. Here, the digital community played the same role. The ancient patterns persist, though their stages change. To grasp why this reunion feels so resonant, it helps to consider how objects carry memory. Gaston Bachelard, in The Poetics of Space, describes certain possessions as intimate dwellings, small houses in which our past continues to reside. A ring is one such object, not mere metal, but a miniature chamber of time. When DiStefano slipped it back on, he entered again the room of his 21-year-old self, intact despite the intervening decades. Walter Benjamin offers a complementary lens. In his reflections on collectors, he speaks of the aura objects acquire through their history, the strange weave of space and time that makes certain things shimmer with irretrievability. Submerged for half a century, the Fordham ring returned with its aura intensified, no longer just a class emblem but a relic that had borne silent witness to decades of absence. Its material value was negligible compared to the strange dignity it had accrued through loss and recovery. What then does it mean when a ring resurfaces after 56 years? More than the recovery of an heirloom, it represents the restoration of continuity in a life that might otherwise appear fractured by time. "It is a miracle," De Stefano said when he placed it back on his hand. "Miracle here is not superstition, but recognition of wholeness. The sudden sense that the past is not gone, but folded invisibly into the present, awaiting disclosure." This small story, reported casually in local news, gestures toward something vast. It reminds us that the things we lose are not always lost. They continue their secret lives in sediments, in attics, in the depths of memory, waiting to be called back. Their return is never certain, but when it comes, it feels less like chance than fidelity. The ring was faithful, faithful to its owner, faithful to its meaning, and in that fidelity it teaches us something about ourselves, that what is truly ours does not cease to belong to us, even when absent. Time may scatter our possessions, our memories, our identities, but sometimes by grace or fate they return to complete the circle. If you found resonance in this reflection, I invite you to like, subscribe, and stay with me as we follow the strange journeys of objects, ideas, and memory.